Hey everyone, welcome back to my video. Grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, then let's get right into it. Today's topic is very exciting. We're talking about the kingdoms of West Africa. We're learning about history and the wealthiest man to have ever lived. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like or subscribe. In this episode of Now versus Then, we're going to talk about West Africa. This is the region that's given us priceless gems like gold, ivory, cocoa, and whiskey. It's also given us Mansa Musa, who to date is the wealthiest man to have ever lived. West Africa was one of the first regions to attain independence in Africa. There were a lot of factors that contributed to this, and one of them was the fact that they had so many kingdoms, and these kingdoms allowed them to present a united front in the face of adversity because they had armies and they were all under one ruler. They were more organized to face these adversities. West African kingdoms were mainly Sahelian, and Sahel in Africa is a region of grasslands just to the south of the Sahara Desert. The wealth of these states in the Sahelian kingdoms came from controlling trade routes. These trade routes were between sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East, were charging taxes. These trade routes, anyone that wanted to use these trade routes had to pay tax to the Sahelian kingdoms, and they also got their wealth from trading things like gold, metal, and leather in exchange for salt, horses, textiles, beads, and copper, and this made them very wealthy. So these kingdoms were rolling in money. They were balling out of control in 400 BC. Now, the Malian Empire is one of my favorites to read about. Their history is so fascinating, and they were so successful. Their leadership was very efficient, and they are just a very interesting empire to read about. Now, so this empire was formed by the Mandinka people, and these people are found around the Niger River. And one of the things that made the Mali Empire so successful is because they had a decentralized government, and this decentralized government was divided into 3 states, and this allowed room for more efficient leadership, more efficient partnership, and they were able to build stronger trade ties and stronger economic ties because of this decentralization of power. The kingdom was also quite diverse. They spoke Manding, a group of languages that is referred to as the Manding languages, and they practiced 2 different religions, the African traditional religion and Islam. So their most famous and arguably their wealthiest leader, Mansa Musa, was a very devout Muslim, and he made his trip to Mecca as well. Under Mansa Musa's leadership, the kingdom of Mali dramatically increased. It grew exponentially, and this had a lot to do with his ties to Arab people, which allowed them to exploit the trade between them to grow their wealth. And because of this, they changed their leadership from having 3 states and 12 dependencies to having 13 provinces and 5 states. And during this time, they also acquired and conquered the other smaller empires that were around West Africa at the time, Ghana being one of them, and some of the others were like the Gao Empire, the Barakuri Empire, the Kabora Empire. One of the major resources that the Malian Empire had was gold. Gold was very valuable. It's still valuable at this time, and they exchanged this gold for horses, for salt, for fabric, for camels, and for copper as well. They had a very large military, and this allowed them to conquer neighboring empires, neighboring countries, and because of this, West Africa was able to resist colonialism and to resist being conquered by other kingdoms much more efficiently than countries in East Africa and Central Africa, because they were already under a certain kind of leadership. They already had armies. They had a very established system of rule that allowed their resistance to be very, very efficient. Now let's talk about Mansa Musa himself. So he was the first ruler from the Lai lineage, and his crowning achievement was his famous pilgrimage to Mecca. Now, in today's age, a pilgrimage to Mecca may not seem that big of a feat because we have airplanes and everything, but for Mansa Musa to move and travel from West Africa all the way to Mecca, that was a very, very huge achievement at the time. And he started this pilgrimage in 1324, and he returned in 1326. It took him 2 years to go and come back. And when he went, he took a very large group of people. He kept a personal guard of 500 men. 500 men. And he bought a lot of valuable things on his travels from Egypt and Arabia, and all these things, they depreciated the time as to all assets. His pilgrimage was epic, to say the least. And one of the less impressive things about Mansa Musa is that he had slaves. Yes, he had 12,000 slaves, and he bought them from Turkey and Ethiopia. So he had Turkish and Ethiopian slaves, numbering 12,000 people. And his caravan consisted of a lot of elephants, and the purpose of this elephant was to carry gold. His caravan also had camels to carry food and weapons. He was just a very large person. I think that Mansa Musa was, in general, a very large personality. He must have probably been very domineering. He had good business sense. He was a great military commander. He was able to successfully build the most successful empire to date. There's no other empire in the world that has ever been able to accumulate as much wealth as he was. So this is something to celebrate. This is something that we should be proud of. As African people, as Black people, we need to acknowledge where we come from and recognize that we do have a very rich history, a very rich ancestry, and no one can take that from us. It's up to you to claim your own heritage and to celebrate it. Now, in our next episode, we will talk about the West African region in the present day. that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below. Share with me your thoughts about the Ghanaian Empire, the Malian Empire, and Mansa Musa himself. What do you feel about learning this aspect of African heritage? And please subscribe to be notified of when I upload the next video. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.